Especially when I seen this, I'm like, oh no, no.
100% yeah, I want to go with it. Yeah. Put in a comment? Put a comment. Hey, we're starting soon. Yeah, are you watching or no? I sound check with everybody on the mic, with all the mics on. And this one and that one need to be turned on, and the one that's mic'd up.
two citizens being introduced in the two.
Hello?
DJ, that's you guys?
Hello everybody, please remember to keep on your face masks and maintain social distancing, please. Thank you.
It's going to be off on stage. Oh, yeah.
Hi, everybody. So there's a booth right here in this corner. If you have any questions for our panelists, you have to fill out an index card in that booth and submit it, and we'll read it out to the panelists. Also, remember to please keep on your face masks and maintain social distancing. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Combo Kitchen and franchise creator
everybody move up and fill up these seats in the audience, that would be great. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you.
You mentioned the restaurants are also going to be closed in Miami-Dade County. You mentioned the restaurants are also going to be closed in Miami-Dade County. You mentioned the restaurants are also going to be closed in Miami-Dade County.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Just one second.
Sorry about that. Hello everyone and welcome to the State of the Restaurant Industry presented by Combo Kitchen and Franchise Creator. Thank you guys all for coming out today. Also thank you to Champions for hosting us, and thank you Combo Kitchen and Franchise Creator, our sponsors, Payday Marketing. You guys have been a great help in this. Today we're presenting you with a wide spectrum of speakers from local political figures to prominent restaurant owners and business leaders with the intention of providing you with a broad collection of viewpoints regarding where the restaurant industry stands today and where it is expected to go in the future. As we all recognize, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely impacted businesses around the United States and the world alike, but nothing quite compares financially to the damage it has caused to the hospitality industry. So that leaves us with one question: what's next? Our goal today is to present you with expert opinions and advice regarding what's happened, the next steps, and the innovation it took to not only survive, but thrive where others were not so fortunate. The first half of our event will consist of a number of speakers that have come to provide us with necessary information regarding the state of the industry, followed by an open panel discussion giving you as audience members the opportunity to ask industry experts the questions you've been searching for answers to. If you wish to ask the panelists questions, there's a booth right there. You have to write your question on an index card and we'll go ahead and read it out. So we'll begin with a brief video sent in by Francis Suarez, the mayor of the city of Miami, followed by J.C. Then an informative talk by Hossein Kasmai, the CEO and founder of Combo Kitchen and franchise creator. Our lineup also includes Dean Michael Cheng of the FIU Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, Oli Lugo, the founder of Giardino Gourmet Salads, as well as Vince Lago, the vice mayor of the city of Coral Gables. Finally, we have Steve Bovo and Daniela Levine Cava, the mayoral candidates for Miami-Dade County. We are thrilled to welcome them today and cannot wait to hear what kind of information they'll be sharing with us all. Our panelists will be more than happy to answer any and all questions you may have after the event after the speakers during the open panel portion of our event. In addition, I'd like to remind everyone to please keep your masks on, maintain social distancing. This is very important. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with a message from the City of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. Hopefully no technical difficulties this time.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Combo Kitchen and franchise creator for bringing us all together and putting on this event at such a critical time for the restaurant industry. All of you have been more than entrepreneurs and owners. You have been true citizens and stakeholders in the future of our economic recovery. Miami has been affected by the COVID epidemic just like everyone else, but Miami's hospitality industry is a pillar of our economy, and their pain has been felt by all of us. I have seen firsthand how devastating these economic closures can be for our businesses and our residents. Our hospitality industries fuel and support our continued growth. They make up around 65% of our local workforce, meaning that Miamians have experienced the economic side effects of the pandemic more severely than the rest of the country, which is why we at the city have been committed to identifying all possible solutions to opening safely and sustainably. We know that this is a realistic and achievable goal. We have leveraged a working group of industry leaders to help us address the disruption and accelerate our adaptation to COVID's challenges. We have partnered with local schools to establish training programs for our business owners and their employees. But it's going to require constant communication between everyone involved. Our leaders in government must provide clear and consistent guidelines for our businesses to understand and follow. And our businesses must do their part and comply with the rules meant to keep our residents and their employees safe. We will continue to meet regularly to ensure that we will succeed together, just as we have sacrificed together. The future of the restaurant industry is in our hands. We have made the tough decisions, we have put in the hard work. Now it is time to keep up the momentum so we can reopen in a safe, secure, and smart way.
Okay, so our first speaker is the founding mayor of the city of Doral and served in that capacity for the first 9.5 years of the city's existence. He was elected as mayor again in 2016 for the 2016 through 2020 term. He is currently a member of the advisory board for the United States Conference of Mayors, as well as a board member of the Miami-Dade County Transportation and Planning Association. Thanks to his vision and leadership, the city of Doral has received numerous accolades, including being chosen the best city for business startups by Business Week, named #2 of America's top 25 towns to live well in for its cultural amenities, pro-business environment, and highly educated workforce by Forbes.com. It has also, among many more awards, been the 3rd best place in the USA to retire by US News and World Report. Much of these accomplishments are thanks to the exemplary leadership demonstrated by Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez. Please welcome him to the stage.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to thank
It has also
the franchise
among-
creator and also Combo Kitchen for hosting us, and Hossein and his family, Norma. Good to see you again. Longtime friends, great people. And time flies, as we figured out today. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to thank
It has also
the franchise
among-
creator and also Combo Kitchen for hosting us, and Hossein and his family, Norma. Good to see you again. Longtime friends, great people. And time flies, as we figured out today. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to thank
It has also
the
among-
creator and also Combo Kitchen for hosting us, and Hossein and his family, Norma. Good to see you again. Longtime friends, great people. And time flies, as we figured. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to thank
It has also
the
among-
creator and also Combo Kitchen for hosting us, and Hossein and his family, Norma. Good to see you again. Longtime friends, great people. And time flies, as we figured. In the last peak that we had was a result of the restaurant industry itself, where people going to restaurants. And now that we've had contact tracing, I think we have a better idea, and we know that people tend to be even more careful when they're in restaurants. But the damage, and the damage it did to the restaurant industry, of course, across the board, and I know Vince and I have discussed this, and as a matter of fact, I was just having lunch with, you'll hear from him later today, Commissioner Steve Bovo, who is running for county mayor, and we were discussing precisely how the damage, the one opinion one day, one opinion the next, one opinion the next day, is very disconcerting, not only to the restaurant industry, but to all business owners. And you who own restaurants, which I assume most of you are here, do know how difficult it is if you don't have that second seating on a Friday or a Saturday night, and somebody comes across from either the city of Doral or the city of Miami or the city of Coral Gables or Dade County and tells you, you gotta leave at 11 o'clock on the dot. You know, it just cuts into a lot of your industry. There's really no evidence, and in particular, when you have a city, for example, like Aventura, where you could go right across the street, the county line, and you could actually be in Broward County with different rules, it does have a negative impact. I think that, you know, in the city of Doral, we've been very lucky. We have now over 403, we have about 403 restaurants. We have had somewhat of an impact, but I just came from, like I said, having lunch with Commissioner Bovo, Mayoral County Bovo from Bashur Restaurant, Bashur Doral now. Vince, we got the Coral Gables, that'll be Bashur Doral. That'll open up in a couple of days. So we've still had progress. Having said that, what I would tell the industry is this, and I'm going to speak, you know, only for Doral, but I've seen that most of the restaurant owners in Doral have cooperated on the key tenets that we've talked about. Obviously, wearing the mask, obviously, you know, social distancing, and obviously making sure that you have hand sanitizers and, you know, the bathrooms are used appropriately. I have not seen some of the other stories that periodically we get from what appears to be the medical experts, you know, at the county level. Now, I will say one thing, and this I said to the medical experts, and we as elected officials have to listen to the medical experts when you have a pandemic. But the only thing I told the medical experts, there is another issue, and that's the economy, and there's also mental health. The longer it takes to get us back on track as an industry, by the way, which is critical to Miami-Dade County, which is critical to tourism, which is critical to across the board our economy in South Florida, the the longer the recovery will take and the more impact there will be on the employees of those restaurants. So I'm glad that you're having a frank and open discussion today. I hope that you also have the opportunity, and I know Hussein and I were talking about this, that you're going to hear from some experts who know a lot more about how to get you to that point. What we need to do, and what I'm sure we're all committed to do as elected officials, is to provide the tools for you to be able to get back to where you were. I think I hope we don't see times like this in our lifetime again, even though I'm not sure we can guarantee that. But we need to start coming back to somewhat of a sensible economic recovery. It doesn't matter how many bills they pass in DC, and Vince knows that we're always going to advocate that those dollars go to the cities first, because we saw what happened when they go to the counties first or the state first. We're still waiting for them. Some of you, by the way, are probably still waiting for some county dollars, which should not be the case when you have $474 million allotted from the federal government. But hopefully, we'll be getting ourselves, regardless of what happens, whether there is a second wave, which is, or there is or there isn't, or there's somewhat of a second wave. The one thing that I hope that you insist upon of all elected officials is that when the medical decisions are made, which are critical, because we don't want people passing away, we don't want people getting sick, but it also is important that you remind your political leaders that your industry is a key industry in South Florida, that hundreds, if not thousands of families are fed through the work of the people that own these places and that work in these places. So I welcome those of you who are here for Doral for the first time. Welcome. Those of you who have been here for Doral for a long time, I'm glad you're here. And it's good to see so many friends I hadn't seen in a while. And I know today this is a great opportunity. Again, I want to thank in particular franchise creator and Hussein, because he's always been, as a matter of fact, he and his family are an example of the opportunity that so many of us have in this country, so many of us have down here in South Florida, to really be able to live the American dream. At a time where maybe that's not that popular to say, I'll repeat that. It is important. So, thank you very much. And thank you very much. And I hope if you haven't come to Doral, I'm glad you're here for the first time. You can also go to Coral Gables. Sensitive on me, so that's okay. And as long as South Florida, we're one big family, and I can tell you that we all look forward as elected officials to help you get your industry back on track. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that overview, Mayor Bermudez. Our next speaker is an experienced and well-recognized business leader in South Florida. He has launched multiple successful businesses and single-handedly watched them grow from inception to multinational growth. Among his accomplishments, he's a prominent entrepreneur, engineer, and restaurant owner. He is the CEO and founder of Franchise Creator, the world's largest franchise consulting firm, which has converted over 450 businesses into successful franchise operations. He has launched and grown many of his own locations worldwide. He has consulted with multiple restaurant owners, optimizing their sales, operations, and growth strategy, helping them to grow to become nationally recognized brands. His newest endeavor, Combo Kitchen, is working to save the restaurant industry from the COVID-19 pandemic with its unique ghost kitchen franchise model. On top of all this, he also happens to be my dad. Please welcome.
The restaurants are also going to be closed in Miami-Dade County.
education or particular training. We all think that we can cook food at home. All right, so I can prepare food in the restaurant and perhaps sell the food for profit. The key to this is it's also the most complex business ever started. And the reason it's the most complex business is because the food business as a whole is highly, highly competitive. So you have restaurants all throughout the nation. You cannot name me a particular shopping center anywhere that doesn't have at least 2 restaurants inside of it. So this tremendous growth in the restaurant landscape, it's actually damaging restaurant owners' brands because it doesn't allow you to raise your prices as your expenses are growing. So you have dishes that are being served and you want, as time goes on, to raise it by 50 cents, but you can't because you're afraid of the competition next door, which is a restaurant. It's also a very complex business because it's highly, highly subjective. The product that you're serving is a product that's served to 2 people. One person gives you a 5-star rating and the other guy gives you a 1-star rating. And everyone these days are very empowered, right? They get in and the first thing they do, they get behind their computer, they're behind their cell phones, and they click that button, 1 star, and they feel very empowered and happy and they leave, not realizing that they've destroyed your business. So, because it's extremely, extremely subjective, it's very difficult for you guys to satisfy the masses. Difficult business. It's also a very complex business because it's extremely hard to make any money in this business. Most of you guys as restaurant owners have been doing this for years. You're working 60 hours, 70 hours, week after week, month after month, and you're barely paying your bills. And you're not really realizing what's going on, right? So why is it so difficult to make money in this business? So obviously I consult with a lot of business owners throughout the country. Most businesses produce between 20 to 25% net profit. Restaurant business, you're extremely lucky if you're doing a double-digit net profit margin. In other words, if your restaurant is creating a 10% net profit, you got to look in the mirror and give yourself a pat in the back because most restaurant owners who actually understand their profit and loss statements don't really realize how little money they're making. So you see your sales are good and you're happy, but at the end of the day, you realize that all you're doing is paying bills. You're not really saving much money and you're working harder and harder. Here's why. A typical $20 dish that's being served in a restaurant, your food cost on that is about 30%. So $6 out of that 20 bucks is being spent on the ingredients, on the chicken, on the fish, on the beef that you actually have to buy to cook this dish. So you're left now with $14. Well, now you have another 30%, which is for labor costs. So now that's another $6 out of your profit margin. So that right there is 60%. Just between labor and material, you're out 60% of the price that you charge your customers. So now you still have rent to pay. Well, rent really in typical restaurants is about 10% of your sales. So that's 70%. You're left with a 30% net profit. But out of that 30%, you still have your insurance to pay, you have your utilities to pay, you have your maintenance to pay, you have all the other charges that every single day you go to a restaurant and all these different things are breaking and you got to take care of it. So at the end of the day, an average restaurant makes about 10%, 12% net profit. What does that mean? That means a $20 dish that you serve to your clients, you're taking home $2 from that, $2. So those of you in the audience that obviously are not restaurant owners and you're consuming the products in restaurants, you need to think carefully next time you're sending that dish back. When you're saying, oh, there's something wrong with this, it doesn't taste well, realize that that restaurant owner who's serving you that $20 dish is really making $2 on that dish, and you just ruined his complete P&L for the day, his profit and loss statement for the day. So, but here's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is that there's a revolution that started many years ago called delivery. Now that delivery is also eating into your profit margin. But a lot of you guys who are in this audience as restaurant owners are looking at yourself and saying, yeah, I'll do delivery now. But when you think about it, delivery was not feasible 10 years ago. I mean, obviously some restaurants did delivery. Domino's Pizza wrote the book on delivery, right? But in reality, when you think about it, majority of restaurant owners didn't really adapt to the whole delivery thing. And the reason they didn't is because it didn't make sense for them. McDonald's and Burger King are a great example of that. It never made sense for McDonald's to provide a delivery service which costs the consumer $5 to $6 for a $5 to $6 item. It made no sense. So hence the reason they stayed away from it. What happened was the millennial generation changed all of that. The millennials want things now and they want it where they are and they're willing to pay for it. I don't know how they pay for it, but they pay for it. So the bottom line is, this revolution, which began 10 years ago because of the millennials, is really why delivery was born, is really why multi-billion-dollar businesses like Uber Eats, like Grubhub, DoorDash, all of these businesses were born because of that necessity that the millennials provided. The pandemic, which is really what most of you restaurant owners are blaming for the downturn in your restaurant sales or the downturn in your profits, the pandemic is really one that accentuated that problem. It didn't start the problem. So what happens during the pandemic is the grandparents and the parents of those millennials, they were forced to also use delivery. They were forced to also use Uber Eats, DoorDash for delivering their products, their services, their food, and they liked it. They actually loved it. So what happens now is this group of people who joined their grandkids and also kids are now comfortable with delivery. I'm not saying that delivery is not, you're not gonna see a little bit of a dip in your delivery sales after the pandemic is over. What I am saying is you're gonna see a short dip and it's gonna come back. If you look at the delivery percentage versus dine-in of most restaurant owners, you're looking at 20% of their sales used to be delivery 2 years ago. So most of you restaurant owners in here can confirm that delivery was, as part of your sales, was only 20% a couple years back. Last year, probably 30, 35%. This year, 70%, 60%, 75%, depending on which business owner you talk to. And what happens is, when you think about it, you're saying, oh, the pandemic is the reason why I'm doing a lot of delivery. Yes and no. You're doing a lot of delivery because of the pandemic, but in reality, this is here to stay. So now let's talk about that. So if we all agree that delivery has to be a part of your platform, all right, so now what are you paying for this delivery? Well, we all know Uber Eats, and these guys charge about 30% on the average for delivering your food. But we just started saying that you only had 10% to work with. So in other words, your profit margin was only 10%. Where is the 30% coming from? And that's the key. The key is a lot of you guys are losing money with every bag of Uber Eats that's going out the door. But you don't mind that happening. A lot of you guys hate Uber Eats and the DoorDash and all of these guys, but in reality, you love them. You hate them because you realize you're losing money or you're not making much money, but you love them because you realize that Uber Eats is not a delivery company, it's a marketing company that happens to do delivery. They're bringing you new sales every single day. You're seeing your sales go up daily, yearly. You're looking at your numbers from last month. Wow, my sales are higher. From last year, wow, my sales are higher. And you're happy to see that. But in reality, you're losing more money. Your sales are higher, but your profit isn't. You don't go to work every single day to celebrate your sales. You go to work to bring home money. And the only way you bring home money is your net profit. So how do you solve this problem? The only way to solve this problem is another revolution called ghost kitchens. So there are several definitions of a ghost kitchen. What is a ghost kitchen? Well, ghost kitchen is the way for you to make the restaurant itself, in other words, the atmosphere of your restaurant that you're paying for as rent, your employees, food costs, and everything else efficient. So there are several ways ghost kitchens are implemented. One of which is for you to move your restaurant perhaps to a warehouse area, a C-class neighborhood or B-class neighborhood, and launch your restaurant there, pay lower rent, but that definition of ghost kitchen for me, and as I've talked to a lot of restaurant owners, doesn't really work. The reason it doesn't work is you're addressing the 10%. I mentioned earlier that only 10% of your sales are affiliated with the rent. Okay, so you're fixing that, but you have bigger problems. How about your labor fee? How about your labor cost? How about food costs and everything else? So the other form of ghost kitchens, actually the one form of ghost kitchens that, again, talking to a lot of restaurant owners, that works well, is by utilizing brands that are well recognized in your kitchen as ghosts. What does that mean? You are an owner of a Cuban restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, a seafood restaurant. You now can, how about if you partnered with a well-known brand? A brand that's either nationally or even city-wise well recognized. A brand that's been around for a while. A brand that has multiple locations. A brand that has a website. It has social media with a decent amount of people following it. With that restaurant, and launch that restaurant in your restaurant as a ghost operation. What does that mean? That means you continue to operate your business as you always have. Your signage in the front is the same thing. Your customers come in, they're going to the same Cuban, to the same Chinese, to the same seafood restaurant, but in reality, in the back, you also have another operation going on for takeout and delivery. So you basically only have a presence on Uber Eats for that particular brand. Now, why do I indicate that you need a well-recognized brand? Very simple. A lot of restaurant owners have told me personally, oh, I'm already doing a ghost kitchen in my restaurant, but it's not working. Well, what are you doing? Well, I launched a healthy vegan food that I created, and I called it, I'm just gonna use a name, Johnny's Vegan. Well, great. Is it working? No, it's not working. Well, I know why it's not working. It's not gonna work. Because you're launching a brand new restaurant. Just like when you launched your restaurant, it's gonna require a whole lot of marketing. It's gonna require a website. You're gonna have to build your social media and its followings. And you also have to hope that you get a lot of great ratings on Yelp and Google and all of that. Well, all of that's gonna take some time. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 years? I have no idea. It all depends how much marketing money you have. But by the virtue of just launching a brand in your kitchen, orders are not gonna come in. But how about if that brand was one that everybody recognizes? Was a brand that has a website, has social media with 10,000 followers, has 3,000 Yelp reviews at 4-star, 5-star ratings. What if you partnered with that brand and started cooking that brand in your kitchen? The moment you go live on Uber Eats, orders begin to come in. Now what happens when orders begin to come in for that? Let's talk about those numbers that we just talked about again. For that particular operation, what are you? You're already paying for your rent. So that 10% cost is already covered in the front of the house, which is where you operate your main restaurant. So what are the costs associated with this? You've got the cost of delivery, which in this case is Uber Eats, and you've got your food cost. But because you're partnering with these well-recognized brands, well, they've been around for a long time. They have a tremendous relationship with food vendors, and they have negotiated price with these food vendors, which you're gonna piggyback on, and you're gonna get their discounted prices because they're buying for 30, 50, 40 locations, 10 locations. So their buying power is significantly higher. Because their buying power is higher, you're taking that buying power and utilizing it to your advantage. So now your food cost for that operation is perhaps about 25%. Uber Eats, well, they have a relationship with Uber Eats. They have a bigger say than you do with Uber Eats, and they have a bigger muscle power with them, so they flex their muscle, and they've been able to negotiate a better rate on Uber Eats, perhaps 22%, perhaps 23%. So those are the only two costs you have. You add those two up, you end up with 50%. All right, you probably have to pay a royalty to those brand owners that are allowing you to use their brand in their location. Fantastic. What is that? It's less than 10%. All in all, you have 60% cost associated with preparing that food. That means you're netting 40% on every dish that's going out the door. Now you got a business. Now you have a real business. The business you have today, you work hard every single day. You go to work and you keep on cooking that food and you keep on battling that customer that's giving you 1 star for no reason. And you come home and you realize that you got bills to pay and you're having a hard time paying these bills. Time is going by, you're getting older, you have less energy, the cost of living is increasing, you have inflation biting into your costs, and you cannot raise your $20 dish to $20.50 because once again you're worried about the competition. So this revolution that started, you have a chance to join and join this movement, join the Ghost Kitchen movement in the right way and make a difference in your restaurant, or you can do the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, restaurant business has been around for a long, long time. And when you think about it, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, restaurants operated the same exact way they operate today. Nothing really has changed about the restaurant business. But our lives have changed. Everything around us has changed. We are different humanity altogether. Everything is now online. Everything is being reviewed. If you don't make a change, you're going to lose out. According to statistics, 50% of restaurants will no longer be around this time next year. 50%. Those are not my stats. These are real stats. So you can do the same thing and be a part of the wrong 50%, or make a change and be a part of the right 50%. So, in closing, ladies and gentlemen, if you do the same thing, you can expect, if you do the ordinary, you can expect the ordinary as a result. But if you want something extraordinary in your life, take an extraordinary step. Thank you so much.
Hello, okay. Next up, we have the Vice Mayor of the City of Coral Gables. Please welcome Vince Lago to the stage.
Is everybody comfortable if I take my mask off? Sure. Yeah, sure. Well, first off, I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me the privilege to be here today with you. It's a great opportunity. I just want to thank a few individuals. I want to start off with always giving thanks to the individuals that make these type of events possible. We are together here making an effort to find an answer, to find ways to make ourselves better, to push forward in our industries. And it's a privilege as an elected official to serve you over the last 7 years in Coral Gables. I want to say thank you really quickly to Heyday. I want to say thank you to Combo Kitchen, franchise creator. My brothers at Lifestyle Miami. If you're not following Lifestyle Miami, you're falling short. Champion Doral for hosting us today. Thank you. Mayor Bermudez, who you heard speak before, who's a gentleman, I have the privilege of serving with him on the TPO, the transportation organization here in South Florida. And he's done a wonderful job as mayor of Doral, and hopefully he'll continue to serve us after his term is up in 2 years. Hopefully he'll run for the county. We're trying to push him to run for the county. He's done great things, and he's smart because not only does he live in Doral, but he also practices law in the city of Coral Gables. So he spends more time in Coral Gables than he actually does in Doral. That's something that we always kid about, because my business is based out of Doral, so I represent Coral Gables, so we flip-flop every day. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the city of Coral Gables is doing. The gentleman who spoke before us eloquently stated the current situation that we're in. I don't think I need to belabor that point. Everybody in this room, do I need to speak into this? I feel like I'm having like a lot of echo. A little bit closer and I'll get rid of the echo? I apologize. You know, we don't need to discuss in full detail what's going on with COVID. Everybody here understands the battles that we're facing every day. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing as a city. Because it's very easy to basically point the finger at the elected official. The elected official is not serving us. They dropped the ball. We need somebody new. I want to be very clear. In the city of Coral Gables, like Mr. Bermudez said before, we did not, as a commission, at least the colleagues that I spoke with, did not support the inside dining. To me, that was incredibly heavy-handed, and I think it showed a lack of judgment. We needed to trust. We need to trust the individuals in this room who are in front of us, who have given their life, who are living every single day to put food on the table, not only for their patrons, but they will do the right thing. And what is the right thing? The right thing is protecting the people who come to the restaurant. The right thing is following CDC guidelines. So when we, and I mean we, the county, decided to close restaurants, I was incredibly disappointed. And something that weighed very heavy on my heart, and I know my colleagues in Coral Gables also, was the fact that every time that you called, I had to give you a response that I have never given to anybody in my community, and that was it's out of my control. Because this comes down from the county, just like the curfew, which again is another item that I oppose significantly. We need to trust in the people in our community to make sure that they are making the right decisions. And if they're not making the right decisions, and this is something that I spoke to Mayor Suarez about, then we need to come down heavily. How could we have done that? Very simply. If there's a first infraction, you could have given that restaurant a 10-day closure. Second infraction, 20-day closure. Third infraction, and subsequent thereafter, 30-day closure. But the idea of closing restaurants, inside dining, was incredibly heavy-handed, and I think short-minded in my opinion. We could have done better, and we failed at that point at the county level. But I want to move on from that. I want to tell you something that the city of Coral Gables is doing to ensure that the restaurants have every opportunity at their disposal to not only survive, but to thrive. We have over 252 restaurants in the city of Coral Gables. And let me tell you why restaurants are important to Coral Gables. They're important to Coral Gables because 30% of our tax base comes from our downtown. If the restaurants are not doing well, commercial property values go down, our revenue goes down also. So you need to thrive so that we have enough money to pick up the garbage, to fix the potholes, to continue to beautify the city. So you are essential to our lifeblood. So what have we done? I am the representative on behalf of the city of Coral Gables, of the commission, on the Business Improvement District. We immediately started working on opportunities to address the closure of the interior dining. What I did was I came up with a permitting process. Permitting process that took 2 days and was at no cost to the restaurants. And that allowed for exterior dining on sidewalks. That allowed for exterior dining in parking lots. That allowed for exterior dining on main thoroughfares where people park their cars. It relaxed signage. Imagine, as you know, Coral Gables is very strict in regards to our zoning code. And those are things that we've extended to September. We extend them now to January. And we're having serious discussions because they're being so fruitful that once this pandemic comes to an end, we got to do something about exterior dining. People like it that much. People feel secure. People feel comfortable. And it's an opportunity, another revenue source for people. So we're having those discussions on finding some sort of even ground where people can expand on their exterior dining. So if you have not taken advantage of outside dining, the permit, it's simple. I processed it myself. I'll come and visit you at your restaurant, and it takes 2 days. Very simple. We've had over 70 restaurants take advantage of that. And we think outside the box. If you have small sidewalks, maybe we can do something on the side. We can expand to the neighboring business that is not a restaurant, that is a clothing store. We're finding ways outside the box to make sure that you can thrive, not survive. I talked to you a little bit about the relaxation of the zoning code, which we hold so dear to our heart in Coral Gables, but we understand that the current situation is a drastic one. We continue to work and provide additional support to all the restaurants. What are we doing? We're offering technology webinars, we're doing business process webinars, and we continue to expand. Any way that we can sit down and have a conversation with you, we will. We're available. Like the mayor of Doral said, we're still waiting for money from the county. We have already have the infrastructure up. We have a grant application process, which is already in the works. We're just waiting for that money from the county. And it's a shame that it's taken so long. We're talking about over $450 million. And that, to me, if I can be honest with you and candid, is very disheartening in regards to the leadership, especially the mayor of Miami-Dade County. And I have been very clear, very candid, very honest that we can do much better. And it's a shame that the cities, the 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County, have to suffer because of the uncertainty and the lack of transparency, and how from one day to the next, today we have a curfew, tomorrow we don't have a curfew. Guys, leave the politics out of it. Leave the politics out of it. Thousands of people depend on the restaurants being open, not only for food, but for business, to put food on their table. And we should never mix politics with people's livelihoods. And that's a shame that's going on right now in this community. Like I mentioned to you before, we're doing technical workshop grants. Those are available. If you like, you can always reach out to my office. I'll facilitate it for you. I'll get you all the information. It's a grant program which should last about 3 months, and it's available to everybody, every restaurant in the community. What do we hear? Because I hear a lot of people talk about code compliance, code enforcement. Coral Gables is very strict. Listen, we are not closing businesses. We understand. We're here to work with you. We are following whatever comes down from the state and whatever comes down from the county. If we have a curfew, we had one this week, we didn't have one, now we have one again. We are following what we're being told from the county. I have to enforce the county laws. It's very difficult for me, trust me, because I deal with people and I understand what's happening in regards to the fact that if you close at 12, you need to close a restaurant by 10 so people can clean, and so that those employees can go home safely and not be put in a situation where they could potentially be arrested. Are we enforcing the curfew at this present moment? I'm going to be honest with you. I've asked our staff and I've asked our city manager to stand down on that front. But Coral Gables is a very small municipality. If people leave our city and get arrested, it's a very difficult situation to deal with. So we're asking for compliance from other cities. We're asking for compliance from the county. Please be considerate of these people that are just trying to learn, just trying to earn their keep. That's what we're asking for. Another thing that we've done, which I think is essential, we want to cut out all the noise. You hear all this noise continuous. What's happening in our businesses? What's happening in our community? What's going on with COVID? If you go to the Coral Gables website, you will see that we have a COVID dashboard, which is telling you exactly the cases every single day. I don't want to leave anything up to interpretation. I want people to know where we stand every single day in regards to cases, what's going on with a curfew, how can you deal with the city, how can we expedite your permits, what do we do, what do we need to do to facilitate your business and ensure that you're compliant. Before I close, I want to make sure that I open it up to questions. I want people to ask me things. I want to make sure that you understand, and I want to give everybody my cell phone, that we're here to help you any way that we can. If anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to talk, if anybody just wants to vent about their own concerns, give us guidance, explain to us what we can do to be better, to make your life a little easier. Please feel free to take advantage. If you feel a little embarrassed or you don't want to talk about it in public, I'm more than willing to give you my cell phone, 305-303-0115. I ask you to get in contact with me. I ask you to reach out to me. Give me your ideas. What can we do to make sure that your business in these very difficult times thrives? So I'm open. I'll open the floor for any questions. Anybody that has any ideas, I welcome them. You have a gentleman in the back?
We had a question. He applied for a grant about 3 weeks ago. He's asking, like, typically how long does that process take before we?
It should take about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So you should be having it probably at the end of this week. If you haven't, I ask you to write me an email, vlogo@coralgables.com, and I will immediately pass it along to our development office along with our city manager and ensure that we get to the bottom of what's going on with the grant. But again, these grants are for businesses. It's not a huge amount of money. Our city lost this year, just to give you an idea, like Mayor Bermudez mentioned, we lost $8.5 million this year on a $200 million budget. We didn't raise taxes, we didn't cut the workforce, we didn't furlough anybody. What we did was we became more streamlined, we became more effective, and we saved money where we could. We found money. And we're still offering these grants, and we're still doing everything possible to make sure that we can offer our business community what they need during these tough times. Any other questions? Don't be shy. Yes, sir.
Here's a restaurant in Coral Gables. He was saying that when the curfew hits, let's say it's 11 o'clock, that there's people coming in and saying like, people are like eating or finished eating, they're telling like, hey, you gotta get up and go.
So what's happening, that was happening before. I don't think that's happened in the last few weeks. I've requested from staff, from the city manager, to ensure that we be as lenient as possible in regards to the curfew. But let's be honest, the county is requiring. You have right now a political back and forth, a wrangling, which, by the way, hurts everybody in this room. The county mayor wants to keep the curfew. The curfew was found in the courts to not be appropriate, and now we're back through an appeal with the county attorney, a reimposing of that curfew. It's a shame that your lives and politics are mixing in that sense. We should be a little more considerate, and we should be able to give people the right to serve the residents of this community in a way that you're following CDC guidelines. You're not going to do anything to endanger your business, are you? You're not going to do anything to endanger the residents of this community. If you follow CDC guidelines, we should do everything possible to keep you open. Any other questions? Well, listen, again, thank you for allowing me the privilege to be here. I want to congratulate you all for being here, for putting such an event together. You know, we are one community. It's all about being transparent. It's about finding solutions. We are going to get over this. I just want you to be aware that we are a community that is willing to do whatever it takes to help you. You are incredibly important to us. You represent 30% of our tax base. If it's not for you, we would have a much higher tax base in the residential community. So I want to say thank you to all of you again for allowing me the privilege to be here, to all the sponsors, to the guys from Lifestyle and Heyday. Thank you, and I think this has been a wonderful event, and I think we're here to find solutions. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Vice Mayor Lago. Our next speaker is Dean of Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University. At the top-ranked program, he's transforming hospitality, starting with the learner experience. Prior to becoming dean, he was previously a tenured associate professor and director of the food and beverage program. Dr. Cheng has subject matter expertise in competency-based learning, hospitality management, restaurant development, sensory analysis, and food and beverage management. Prior to joining FIU, he served as founding director and department chair, director of global studies and MBA programs, and professor of culinology at Southwest Minnesota State University. He brings over 20 years of experience in teaching and learning in culinology and hospitality management, and established the world's first and only academic discipline that blends culinary arts and food science. He calls it culinology. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Michael Cheng to the stage.
Good afternoon. Can you guys? Awesome. Thank you so much, Jose and Kristen, and Combo Kitchen and Franchise Creator for hosting this and organizing this timely and much needed forum on the state of our restaurant industry during this pandemic. It is my pleasure to be here today representing the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University. For those of you who didn't know, FIU is the third largest university in the country and ranked in the top 100 Best Public Universities in U.S. News and World Report. Go Panthers! But more importantly, FIU is the largest majority-minority university in the country, and our hospitality program graduates the most Blacks and Hispanic students in the country. Our online bachelor's in hospitality management has been ranked #1 in the country for the last 5 years. And we are proud to have the country's only spirits management curriculum developed in cooperation with Bacardi USA. We are ranked among the top 50 hospitality schools in the world and #1 in the Southeast United States. We also have a program in China, our Marriott Tianjin China program that we've been there for 16 years and is consistently ranked in the top 3. As the anchor institution in the community, FIU is here for our community. Since we opened our doors in 1972, the Chaplain School has educated and continues to educate students and future tourism and hospitality industry leaders all over the world. The university has over 225,000 alumni, and the Chaplain School has over 17,000 alumni all over the world. As the Dean, I'm proud of these accomplishments and of being the only hospitality school in the world that can offer our students these once-in-a-lifetime experiences, such as the world's biggest events, Super Bowl 54, Ultra Music Festival, and alongside the world's top chefs, celebrities, restaurateurs, spirits companies, and event managers at, you guessed it, the South Beach Wine Food Festival. Each year, over 1,200 of our FIU students volunteer at this festival. And by the way, the festival actually started as a one-day event at our Biscayne Bay campus. And today, it brings in over 65,000 guests, and we host over 100 different wine and food events. To date, the festival has raised over $31.8 million for the school, and all proceeds of the festival goes towards our students at the Chaplain School. Next year is our 20th year anniversary, and I hope to see you all there. But what I'm most proud to share are the accomplishments of our students and what we are doing to help those who are struggling due to the COVID-19 and our role in the hospitality industry in our community. When the lockdown began in March, and we saw the hurt that the hospitality industry is experiencing, we immediately jumped to action. We had to take action to help those in the hospitality industry that our current students want to be a part of. We also had to show our students the importance of taking action and helping our community. So we wanted to give back to some of those people who have given our students their first jobs, internships, and their current positions. And we had to support our alumni, many of whom are restaurants and bar owners. So as many of you know, we launched the South Beach Wine Food Festival and FIU Chaplain School Hospitality Industry Relief Fund in March with a $500,000 founding donation from the Chaplain School. And we got matching $500,000 from Bacardi USA and Bermudez Spices to match it. And together with Lee Schrager, the director for the festival, and Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, we raised almost $1.6 million, along with other big-name hospitality industry leaders like Shaw Ross, Bali 305 Vodka, Jägermeister, Luxco, the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, Miami Downtown Development Authority, and individuals like Emilio and Gloria Estefan. So to date, we have awarded over $1.5 million to almost 450 restaurants, all of whom disbursed the money to their employees, over 8,000 of the employees who were laid off or furloughed. Beyond the immediate financial relief, we also launched recovery initiatives for the employees of these businesses through our food and beverage programming that we are offering for free. So from our Startup FIU Food Incubator Program and our newly created Bacardi Teach program through our Bacardi Center of Excellence and online learning provider Tipsy. Just email chaplaincares, that's CHAPLINCARES @fiu.edu, and we'll send you the information. So, and participants have until the end of this year to access the free workshops on technical skills, financial skills, entrepreneurship, and so on. And you'll get a certificate too when you complete it. So where are we 7 months later in our restaurant industry? We look at sales, they're down to 2016 levels. And restaurants have a lot of ground to make up. But there is a lot of pent-up demand for dining in. That is still high. And technological innovations that as you heard from Jose, will bring consumers back. Everyone is tired of Zoom cooking or cooking at home and ordering in, and they want to get out, but safely. All the stuff that we tolerated in the beginning because we thought the shutdown was short-term, 1 month, 2 months, we're all getting tired of it, we're exhausted, we're a little frustrated. There's a general sense of public wariness sinking in and sending people to the bars, family parties, bowling alleys, and sporting events. At the beginning of the year, 2020 was projected to be a big year for the restaurant industry. The National Restaurant Association projected that our sales for 2020 would reach $899 billion. But 7 months later into our industry's worst economic crisis on record, our industry is expected to generate only $659 billion in sales, which is a $240 billion loss. But consumer confidence continues to rise and is at its highest point today since March, as measured by Refinitiv Primary Consumer Sentiment Index. Recently, our researchers at the Chaplin School found that Miami-Dade County hotels and restaurants, the two largest hospitality industries in South Florida, have taken a $3.36 billion hit from the pandemic, from the period of May through August. From the time mandatory COVID-19 related business closures took effect in March, until the end of August, the direct and indirect effects of this pandemic, including revenue loss, supply chain, business expenditures, operating expenses, and the ripple effect of fellow workers not spending on the local economy, all added up to $3.36 billion. This pandemic is responsible for $1.3 billion in direct revenue loss to hotels and $742 million in direct revenue loss to restaurants when comparing March through August of last year to the same time period for this year. All across the country, as dining rooms begin to reopen, we've seen sales start to recover. But this, as we noted, has been more of a swoosh-shaped recovery, where restaurants are generating sales today that's similar to 2016 levels, when monthly sales was about $55 billion, and there's still a lot of ground to be made up. And just for comparison, monthly sales in January or February of this year was $65 million, and it's the highest they have been over the last 15 years. So we know recovery will be an uphill battle as our economy continues to sputter. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis projection, our gross domestic product is expected to decline by 4.3% this year in 2020, the biggest drop since post-World War II period. GDP for 2021 is expected to increase 3.5%, but the peak of GDP likely won't be realized until 2022 at the earliest. And there is proof that if you handle the pandemic correctly, your GDP can grow. We've seen China do that. While the PPP funds provided a stopgap for restaurants to bring back employees and government-issued stimulus checks gave customers the means to order out, negotiations over a new stimulus round is still ongoing. And I just heard today they're hoping to have it done by November 3rd. The initial PPP funds helped increase our savings
during the summertime, but since they're done, a lot of that's mostly done by August. There is a house-backed stimulus check, which will include $120 billion in aid to restaurants. They're still waiting for the Senate to review. The national economy has lost 11% 1.5 million jobs, while 23 states and Washington, D.C. suffered more job losses than in February 2008 when the start of the Great Recession happened. In the restaurant industry, that varies by sector. We see full service has lost over 3.6 million jobs during the pandemic, but they've regained 2.4 million jobs, while QSR and fast casual spaces collectively lost over 977,000 jobs, but they have regained 733,000 jobs. Without a second stimulus program passed this year, disposable income we know is going to drop, and then restaurants will once again be under pressure. When it comes to consumer spending, we see that before the pandemic, 51% of the food spending in the US was allocated towards restaurants. And today it's 45%, but we know this percentage will increase. There's pent-up demand for restaurants. It remains high, especially for on-premise dining. One thing we know about consumers, including me, once we get the money, we're eager to go out to restaurants. And as long as you feel safe and dine out. Right now, 71% of adults are saying they're not using on-premise dining as much as they would like, according to the NRA survey. The percentage of adults ordering takeouts and deliveries increased to around 65% for dinner, from just below 60% pre-pandemic, up to 45% for lunch, compared to below 40%, and relatively unchanged for breakfast at 30%. The NRA also found in a survey of 3,500 operators that 67% have added curbside takeout, which is great. Since March, 27% have added third-party delivery, and 17% added in-house delivery. Only 3% added drive-thrus since March. Before the coronavirus, 1 out of 20 orders was done digitally. Today, 1 out of 5 orders are digital. So there'll be greater emphasis on delivery going forward, including carry-out and alcohol to go. There will also be increased investment in digital and value-added products, which means labor will be moved off-site. And technology has offered a real competitive advantage to generate additional incremental restaurant sales demand, and consumers' acceptance of technology is definitely growing. And this is the model of what Combo Kitchen is proposing. However, even with shifting demand and growth in off-premise and technology, operator sentiment remains quite low, especially among full-service restaurants. 83% of fine dining establishments expect lower sales in 6 months compared to 17% of QSRs. And a lot of US adults know of a restaurant that has closed as a result of the pandemic. My favorite FIU alum-owned restaurant in Nemo is closed. Full-service operators unexpected business snap back to pre-pandemic levels either, especially having to adapt to added expenses from COVID-19 safety procedures and changing business operations. So what do all of these mean to us at the Japanese school? My faculty and I have discussed what changes need to be implemented in our curriculum, based on 3 major forces. Changes in the industry which have been brought on by COVID-19 in order to keep the industry alive. Changes that may be permanent through reliance on mobile technology. Changes in the industry regarding technology, safety, and creation of the at-home experience, which will require innovation and exploration. Until we get a vaccine, I don't think anybody's really say they want to go out, so we have to bring in at-home experience to them. And then changes to learning behaviors, new learning behaviors, such as traveling for a meeting, relying on Zoom, and being able to adapt to new work practices such as more remote working options. And from those discussions, we will be on modifying our curriculum to put more emphasis on entrepreneurship, hospitality design, safety, crisis management like this, retaining the hospitality spirit when we have to wear a mask and keep the social distance, and definitely more technology. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dean Chang. Our next speaker, Daniela Levine Cava, is a present Miami-Dade County Commissioner and a Yale and Columbia-educated lawyer and social worker who has spent the last 4 decades in South Florida being a force for good through nonprofit and government service. She has always been a committed advocate for children, underprivileged groups, and for the environment, and she is running on a platform that emphasizes recovery from COVID, transportation, environmental protection, and government accountability. As mayor, Daniela has plans to rebuild Miami-Dade County's economy by expanding access to capital for local businesses, by making the county's revolving loan program permanent, creating local jobs by investing in our crumbling transportation and water infrastructure, and reforming procurement practices to ensure that Miami-Dade County does more business with minority, veteran, and woman-owned businesses. Please welcome Daniela Levine Cava to the stage.
Well, I'm sitting here remembering my job in college, which was waiting on tables at conferences. That was the hardest job of my life. We were carrying big big platters with like 20 dinners all at once. I had the great honor of serving former President Ford. That was one of the things I got to do in that job. But anyway, I know this industry is so very, very hard. As we heard earlier, the profit margins are very, very thin. You work super, super hard to get that big breakthrough. So this is not for the faint of heart. So all of you who are in this industry, we salute you. And of course, hospitality and tourism are #1 in Miami-Dade County. So coming back, I don't know where we are right now in this pandemic, but we're coming back because people want to be here. You know, the good news is the weather is getting colder. What happens when the weather gets cold? Snowbirds, visitors, come on down. So we know that the restaurateurs have done everything that was asked of them, everything that was asked of you, to be ready and to provide a safe environment for the customers. So we know we need to get that word out, and I'm ready to be cheerleader #1. I've threatened to even wear a bathing suit if that would help, but I don't know that it would, to get out in front of the Convention and Visitor Bureau's incredible campaign, which we've just invested. County Commission has just invested $5 million in a marketing campaign to bring tourism back. So I think that's a really good thing. Yeah, I think that's worthy of applause. And want to acknowledge Commissioner Bobo, who will be speaking next, my colleague and my opponent, who of course has been a big supporter of all of this as well. But I did want to bring you some up-to-the-minute news. I got off the phone with our Chief Financial Officer before coming in here to speak to you, and I found out that the program that we created with CARES Act dollars, federal CARES Act dollars, to specifically help the hospitality industry has been largely untapped. So we're looking at $30 million in direct aid to restaurants that, and we're looking at probably at our next Board of County Commission meeting to see about changing the rules to make it even easier to access that money. So right now, it's a maximum of $25,000 per business, but it could go back up, it could go higher, because we need to commit this money by the end of December. So we want people who are struggling to keep their doors open, to avail themselves of this money. We're going to be looking at how to get this money out the door because it's been going out very slowly, and hopefully we're going to liberalize it so more people can get access to it. So that's a $30 million fund, and it's being administered through the county. So if you are already in the business, I understand some of you are considering getting in the business, but if you're already in the business and you have incurred expenses on rent, mortgage, taxes, other fixed costs, you can get up to at least $25,000 and maybe more if we change the rules. So that is really good news. Then I read that Miami Beach is providing a fund for restaurants to reimburse for the delivery costs. And I heard one of your experts here today talking about the difficulty. Those delivery costs obviously eat into the profits of your business. So I know that I try to avoid delivery costs because I know that that's undermining the well-being of the business. I mean, of course, people who deliver also have to make a living, but in any event, we don't want it to come out of your hides. So Miami Beach is offering up to $60,000 total for restaurants to reimburse them. So I think that's another really creative idea. And along those lines, we heard Vice Mayor Lago speaking about how poorly the county has treated the cities, and I completely agree. It's been extremely difficult to move forward, providing relief at the city level, not just at the county level, and that is really quite inexcusable. And unfortunately, our mayor was slow to get into that conversation with the cities, and by the time they came forward, most of the money had already been allocated. But notwithstanding that, we need to get that money out. The cities, of course, are being reimbursed for some of their basic costs, but as far as passing it on, as the Vice Mayor Lago said, we need to support our cities to get that money out. At the end of the day, it's about $500 million that came down from the CARES Act money in Florida, and it needs to be committed, not spent, by December. So we're going to all be working hard to get everybody who could possibly get some of this money into your pockets to keep you going during this downturn. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you come back stronger than ever. So we need a unified message that we're disinfected, we're ready for business, and of course, unfortunately, we are inching up in the cases. So the solution is these protections like we wear, these masks, the disinfectant, the washing, the distancing. These things really, really do make a difference. You know, some people are suggesting that we should move forward to just open up without regard to those things, but unfortunately, that's not what the medical evidence shows. Medical evidence shows we need to be safe. And, you know, it's a false dichotomy to say that it's health or the economy. You all know we opened up very quickly without testing, tracing, and adequate isolation in place. The cases spiked, and we had to shut back down. We don't want that to happen again. So as mayor, I'll be guided every day by a chief medical officer that I'll be appointing first thing to guide us so that we can open safely, and with your cooperation, open safely to make sure that your customers can feel secure. You know, I think it was said it's on the customer to decide whether or not it's safe. For sure, we all have to exercise our independent judgment, and certainly if you're sick, if you're elderly, you have more risk. But you know, everybody is going home and seeing other people. So the children, they're in school, they might be carrying this back home, so we all need to protect. What is it? My mask protects you, your mask protects me. So definitely masks have been proven effective. Also, we have a great testing infrastructure now available. It was not available for a long time. And it's free for the most part. So don't hold back. Testing is really a critically important part of this. Get the testing. If you come up positive, hopefully it'll be a mild case. We need to keep the hospital census low. That's one of the most important aspects here. We do not want to overwhelm our hospitals so they're not able to provide for us. So I'm going to wrap up really quickly because I know we're over time, and I'm supposed to be the other side of town in 15 minutes. But I did want to tell you that as mayor, which will be determined 12 days from now, I plan to focus on stabilizing our health, rebuilding our economy, and getting us all back to work, of course, but safely. So you can count on me to take my legal and social work background to the mat. I already have a chief medical officer who's agreed to serve, by the way, for free, so that is a great contribution, because we're going to be facing some really difficult times, and we're going to have to face them together. The county government is going to have to look at its revenues. We can't print money. We can't raise taxes. We know we're going to have to live within our means, and we're going to have to talk about what are the priorities for government service, and we're going to have to find efficiencies and ways to economize. And a critical way that we do that is working with our cities, working with our other government entities, finding the ways to share and make things work more collaboratively, which is my middle name, collaboration, and work with you in the private sector to support you technologically, to support you with back office functions, to support you with training. I've started an incubator in my district. I plan to open incubators around the county and bring you the technical assistance, like I heard this gentleman here. He obviously knows what he's talking about. Maybe you could be one of our trainers. So that's my promise to you, to be honest, to be transparent, to be collaborative, and to work together with you to restore our economy and our physical being to health. So Thank you very much for your attention. I think we could maybe take a couple of questions if anybody has them. So I tried to be right to the point. Any questions or comments? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody have a question? Please. Right. Thank you. That's a wonderful example of something that just does not seem to make a lot of common sense. So, how are we going to assist businesses? We need to obviously cut bureaucracy. We need to look at these kinds of requirements and see what can be dispensed with. Look, if we hold up businesses, if we hold up infrastructure development, then we're holding up the rebuilding of our economy. So we're going to be working across the county staff and with the private sector. I have numerous examples from people that build things that really get in the way, to make sure that we're not creating, perfection the enemy of the good, or, unnecessary redundant requirements. The other thing that happens if you're located in a city, you might have to submit to a city and a county approval process. They might be different. There are separate timelines. So these things are not good either. So we're going to have to work to really cut. Thank you. That's a great example. I'd really like to hear more examples like that. That's great. Anybody else? My driver is pressing me to move on. All right, I'm at Daniela.vote and number 81 on the ballot. And I look forward to working with all of you and making our economy get back on track stronger than ever. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Our next speaker, Esteban Bovo, is originally from Queens, New York, but he's been a proud resident of Miami-Dade County for the past 47 years. As a member of the 2506 Brigade, Esteban Bovo's father instilled in his son the value of fighting for justice, while his mother taught him the importance of compassion and service to the community. He commenced his public service when he was appointed councilman for the city of Hialeah in 1998. As a county commissioner, Bovo maintains an open door policy and continues his commitment to improving our quality of life in Miami-Dade County. Bovo's candidacy is based on conservative principles to protect taxpayer dollars, ensure transparency, fairness, and fiscal responsibility. It's my pleasure to announce Esteban Bovo.
Thank you. Is it all right to take the mask off? Okay. So we need to start getting back and open. And part of the reason I decided to run for mayor was that I wanted to make sure that the community and the taxes that we administrate as county government was fulfilling the needs of the community. Whether you're a business owner, whether you are a homeowner, county government had to respond. That's what you engage county government to do. You engage it for quality of life issues. I could not have predicted what was going to happen with COVID-19. None of us could have at the end of last year, yet here we are. And we do have a fundamental challenge on how do we collaborate with you to open. A lot of what has been said today is valid. Government was reacting to certain issues. Those issues have obviously permeated into your businesses and have really dictated how you operate. In fact, we have learned in many instances the power of local government. It has reached into your businesses and has paralyzed commerce. So here's what I would tell you and how we move forward, because I think one of the things that we need to understand as county government is that your businesses are part of the overall landscape that not only facilitates for tourism, many come to our community, go to your restaurants, and how do we do that? How do we do that and how do we get it back quick? So there's a couple of things that I propose that we should do immediately upon being elected mayor. The first thing I will do is definitely meet with all the mayors and administrators of the county. We need to have a set of rules that are uniformed. The same rules in Miami Beach have to apply to Homestead, have to apply to Hialeah, have to apply to Palmetto Bay. They have to be uniformed, and we could do that by collaborating. And that collaboration, I think, starts something like this. We go to you, the business owner, and I ask you to design your plan on how you keep your employees safe. How do you keep your customers safe? And then let's enforce that. And if we're all on the same page, if the county's on the same page with the city of Miami, then there shouldn't be any hiccups. You enforce the plans that you design. So whether it is taking the temperature, sanitation, cleaning products, social distancing, whatever you design that complies with the rules that are obviously guided by CDC, then we will enforce those. I want to flip the conversation of government telling you how to enforce and put it more on you. And in fact, we'll go a step further. I think what we should design, quite honestly, because if we could all agree, perhaps, unless those that are subscribing to conspiracy theories that the COVID pandemic will end on November the 4th, and it's okay if you think that, because there's many in my community who think that, if we assume that we're going to live the next 6 months to a year with this pandemic, we're not going to live like this. I refuse to live like this. So I think we're going to have to, obviously we'll have to wear our masks, but we're going to have to be responsible. I don't need a medical expert to tell me what we need to do. What I need to do is make sure that we trust each other and work with each other. And so if we could come up with a program that enforces your rules, I'm willing to put a decal on your door that could make you a 5-star rated COVID compliant business. What it does is it gives me the confidence and my wife to decide whether we want to go into your restaurant or your establishment or not. A 1-star means you may not have all the abilities to take care of me. A 5-star may mean not only all the things I've described, but you even change your air handlers to be able to address the issues. And I think that's how we start coming back quickly, because let's make no bones about it. We could sit and wait on all the federal programs that exist and all the federal dollars, and you heard from FIU, more money being worked its way out in Washington, D.C. Be careful with all these things that they bake. They come heavily loaded, of which your children and my children will end up paying for a long time from now. So I think that's how we work. We work directly with you. You design the plan, we enforce the plan, and we put a rating on the door so that we could start opening up businesses and creating the jobs that all of you have created and, bring people back to work. And I understand, and I want you to understand very clearly that I understand the process of a small business. I was raised in a small business. I saw my parents when I was young arguing about making payroll, about paying contractors, at times not taking a paycheck. So I'm understanding that. And so you need an ally in the mayor's office that has lived in that world so that we could work with you. And like I said, not having to dictate to you. And I think if we do that, we could start opening up as quickly as possible. And the second thing I will tell you is that in the same fashion that Mayor Giuliani in New York spoke about opening up New York City in the aftermath of 9/11, we need to do the same thing here. We need to publicize that Miami-Dade County, Miami Beach, the city of Miami, and all its attractions are open for business. We need tourism to come back. We have learned through COVID the impact of tourism in our economy. By the way, we're going to have to diversify because we can't put all our eggs in one basket. But for now, we know we need to draw businesses and tourism back into Miami-Dade County. And I will tell you, folks, I don't need incubators for that. You guys are the incubators, by the way. You're the ones that design, businesses. And many times, government is an obstacle the moment you walk out the door. You run into it in the permitting process. You run into it with government bureaucracy, and we need to cut that. We need to eliminate as much of that as possible. So there are a couple of other things that I would propose. Number one, for businesses that are reopening their doors or getting back up to speed, we're going to accelerate the process that I've told you about. You design the plan, we enforce it, we put a decal on your door to give people that confidence. We do that quickly. The second thing I think we need to do is new businesses that are coming online, and we have to collaborate with the cities on this, is to make it a one-stop. So if you go to the city of Miami to pull a permit, technology should allow us today to interface immediately. So if you're pulling permits for the city of Miami, county should know immediately, or vice versa. You know, we shouldn't have to go bouncing around from place to place and waiting on items. And the other thing I would propose is that any new business that starts, and, you know, hopefully elected mayor, we'll do this as quickly as possible and carry it out for a 6-month period. Any business opening up during that period of time, we will let you open and then go through the permitting process while you're open. So that allows you to start generating business. The only thing, obviously, the caveat is life safety. You know, we have to always be wary of life safety. But other than that, you know, I don't want to haggle over moving a switch or a doorknob. You know, I don't want to go through that kind of stuff with you guys. I want to get you open, and then we can work on those things. And that's, I think, how we start bringing our economy as quickly as possible. Look, I'm a big, big believer that government does not create jobs, okay? We create jobs for government people. You create jobs. What we need to do is stay out of your way, help you where we need to help you, but not be an obstacle to job creation. And I think that's the best way that we could propose to open as quickly as possible. And I want to be very clear on you. Upon getting elected mayor, we're going to end this conversation of curfew because we're going to do away with a curfew, okay? I'm going to trust you to run your businesses and do it in the right way. So that's all I had today. It's very wet outside, but I will answer any questions that you possibly have to the best of my ability. Yes. Mm-hmm.
If we have been always following the hotel and restaurant, right, department, we get inspected by them. Why is it that we don't, why didn't the government or our city contact them and train them to be those inspectors? Because now we have the inspectors coming in, then we have the city inspectors, and we don't know who to follow.
Your name? Odie, I wish I had a good answer for you, okay? But everything you just described right now is a fundamental flaws with government, okay? You just described a whole bunch of common sense solutions or suggestions, okay? And I don't have an answer for you. I really don't. I really don't understand why government does the things the way they do it in a bureaucratic way, which all it does is extend the agony on your end, either prohibit you from opening or continue to put rules and decrees that end up getting fined. And by the way, if you have a restaurant that has been fined over the course of this pandemic, upon becoming mayor, we're going to release all those fines, okay? We're going to do away with all those fines, okay? It's outrageous to think the reach that we have done in government here. And I want to be mindful. We're going to protect people because we have to protect people. But like I said, I think you're better equipped at it. You're better equipped at it than the government is in creating rules that has no idea. There is no one-shoe-fit-all scenario. Okay, you may have a big establishment, and how do we address the person that only has 4 tables in that restaurant? And we tell them, actually, I don't want to turn this into, my opponent left, so I don't want to talk while she's not here. But when you talk about opening places at 25%, and you still have to pay 100% of the utility, 100% of your rent, and you tell that person 25%, what if they only have 4 tables or 5 tables because they exist? Or their restaurant only has stools, okay? And now you're going to say what? Of the 9 stools, you can only use 3 of them? And I don't know about your business, but I have imagine you'd have to turn that stool over about 100 times in a day, which is not going to happen. So if we just kind of change the conversation and then hold you to it, I'll hold you responsible to it, and I think that's a better conversation than the other way around. Yes, sir. When? When? Okay. I want to never try to mislead anybody. We're county government. We provide you service. You pay your taxes for fire, police, water, sewer, garbage pickup, and park program. That's what we do. But I would be an advocate, and I would collaborate with chambers. I would collaborate with banks. I would collaborate. There is a lot of money that we're using from CARES Act, which you all should be identifying as quickly as possible, that is going unspent. And by the way, if we don't spend the money, we got to send it back to Washington, D.C. And I know it's a little outrageous to give elected officials money with a caveat they have to spend it. We will find a way to spend it, and we have been, to be honest with you, to my nervousness. But there is CARES Act money. I would encourage you to contact the commissioner where your establishment is at. Regardless of that, you could contact my office without any hesitation, and we will point you in the right direction. But there is, I believe it's $30 million, and maybe a little bit less, but $30 million that we allocated exactly for this, to be able to help folks navigate this. And by the way, but I'm a big proponent that the quickest way we put money in your pocket is by allowing you to open your businesses at full, without curfews, without a whole bunch of rules. You know, I need you to get people back to work. I represent a community, and for me this is why it's so heartfelt. I represent a community that many of them have gone 7 months without working. That's put a tax on our mental health, on our hotlines for suicide. It has increased domestic violence calls in our community. So the more that we could collaborate and get you open, I could do things that it's not money, but money to your pocket perhaps, as far as the red tape and the expediting of process, that could help you. But I got to be genuine and honest with you. As far as county dollars, we're looking at a $100 million hit potentially to our budget. My job as next mayor is going to have to be to analyze how do we continue to provide services without raising taxes, and that's going to be a big balancing act. Thank you. Any other questions? I have number 80. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have some questions that were sent in from restaurant owners. One of them being the lack of off-duty officers available to patrol the safety and entertainment district.
Yeah, look, it's an issue, and I get it, because the entertainment industry is predicated, I think, on one of the things is safety in the area, right? And, you know, I remember, this was a while back when I used to club. Now I just go to sleep early in Club Sawana. You know, one of the things that we need to do is my driver is an ex-police officer, and we've had this conversation. You know, we may not have enough police officers for off-duty work. So we may need to collaborate in some instances, and this will have to be with probably the cities where a lot of the clubs are located, is maybe collaborate in a way that we could provide some sort of private security that has some sort of connectivity to the police department. But I think we need to you know, cooperate with each other a little bit more to extend that kind of security effort. You know, I do have a lot of nieces and nephews. They go to Wynwood, they go and party out there, but they are scared if they go a block or two away from where the center of the action is. And that's problematic. It's problematic for the businesses, obviously, and I see why would they be putting a lot of investment. But it's not because police don't want to do the work. Guarantee you, police like to take on that kind of work because it's money to their pocket. But I think we need to collaborate in a way on maybe some sort of entity that is kind of quasi-police that could collaborate to provide security and interface with our police department. But, you know, a safe situation, you know, that's why when you hear this talk about defund police, it's crazy talk, you know, because if you provide safety and security, that brings economic opportunities and a lot of different caveats that we need to work on. So we can work on that and figure it out. I don't have the answers to it, but I'll definitely work with you to find answers to it.
Issues within the food and beverage industry.
Yeah, look, I think that's critical, right? And you know, I'm going to use Windward as an example because I did meet with a group of owners from Windward recently. You know, they're part of that tourism landscape, right? People travel to go there, right? Like they were traveling to South Beach and they travel, you know, for all the amenities. And I think it would be wise, now depending on the jurisdiction, you know, the county, Miami-Dade County, if you look at a map, is kind of jagged as far as where the county jurisdiction and the city jurisdictions are. And so a lot of the nightlife in our community is really centered in cities. So we have to collaborate in a way that, you know, we allow voices to get to government and policymakers. And you know, one of the things I would strongly encourage, and it would be to all your benefits, is that you know who your elected officials are. You got to identify who your commissioner is, what jurisdiction you're in, who the city commissioner is, so you could collaborate. I mean, you guys all create a lot of jobs in our community. Trust me when I tell you, as an elected official, we'll stand on your shoulders and be a cheerleader because of the jobs you create. So when the industry says, you know, I create 300 jobs, you know, the first thing that we'll do is say, oh, well, we helped create those 300 jobs. We didn't do anything, but we'll say it anyways. And I think that's one of the best ways, if we could collaborate, but it's important that you reach out to your elected officials. And by the way, when I was talking about designing a parameter where you speak to us, you know, I'm sincere in this conversation about mom and pop operators, okay? Because I feel in many instances, if you're not a member of a big chamber, you lose out, right? And there's a lot of mom and pop out there that do not belong to chambers. They don't have the time, they don't have the money to do it, and we need to give them access so they could help drive this conversation. But I think this is something that we need to do immediately. This is not one of those kind of things that you work for 4 or 5 months. It needs to happen as quickly as possible because, as my opponent did mention, yes, soon we're going to start hopefully getting tourists coming down from winter states, and we need to be ready. We need to be ready and open and give them comfort and confidence that they could use our establishments. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Well, so the mayor I'm sorry, the vice mayor, hopefully he'll be the mayor soon of Coral Gables, I think lays out something that's important, and it's something that I addressed very early on. I mean, the first thing I need to do, quite honestly, is I need to sit down with all the mayors. You got 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. I don't know if many people know that. That's 34 different jurisdictions, permitting processes, you know, license process that you have to go through. And we do a bad job, I think, of collaborating. I think, you know, I don't have a problem with the current mayor, but I have to admit there was not a lot of interface and conversations between cities and the mayor. That's why you were getting so much different information. I can tell you, in Hialeah, in the area that I live and represent, many residents there had no idea, do we have a curfew, don't have a, you know, and if you crossed over a canal into Miami Lakes, they were playing by a whole set of different rules. So to me, that's the first thing. We need to all be on the same page. Like I said earlier, whatever you're doing in Homestead has to be valid in Miami Beach and Aventura. Has to be, okay? That's number one. And then number two, if you are a participant in designing, and I'm going to trust that you're in business to make money. You're not in business for social experiment. You're not in business for the sake of occupying your time. You're in business to make money. So I'm going to trust the fact that you want to take care and give your customers confidence to go into your establishment. If not, they're not walking in there. So I'm going to trust that you're going to do everything humanly possible to protect them and your employees also, right? That I feel better about that dialogue. Now we're talking about less enforcement because all I'm doing is holding you accountable. So I think, okay, so I think part of the problem has been is that, again, government is the one that created the guideline. Government did, not you, government did. And then it's very difficult for people to comply, but people still want to open their businesses and still operate. And so now I'm making a criminal out of a decent person. And I want to change that conversation, okay? If we're going to live with this for 6 months, we're not going to play this cat and mouse game for 6 months. So if you do it uniform, you create the rules, we're going to hold each other accountable. Guys, we could always put in the restaurant something for people to, if the restaurant is not complying with what they said they're doing, they could send a message to us. And then we could work together. I could show up at your restaurant on a Monday and say, oh, hey, these are the 2 or 3 things we heard. What happened? You know, we need to collaborate. I don't want government to be your enemy, okay? As I said earlier, I want government to not be the obstacle. I want it to be the assistant, the helper, okay, so we could collaborate. And you know, it's to me the only way we could do this in the right way, considering that we're going to be living with this perhaps for 6 months or a year, because I don't know about these vaccines that they're talking about, okay? This is how like Godzilla starts, okay? These vaccines that were cooked up in a week, and then the zombie movies start like this. I don't want to be in a zombie movie, but anyways, I just think we need to collaborate more. And if you do it with the cities, now the cities could be the enforcers, and we're on the same page. If you're on the same page that we're on, then there's no excuse, okay? Because we're enforcing what you designed, and all of us are on the, so it's not different in Homestead, it's not different in Hialeah, it's not different in Doral. We're all on the same page. Make sense? Okay, all right, good. Yes. Yeah, look, I've worked that way. I've been an elected official now for 20 years. I was 10 years a city councilman, 3 years in Tallahassee as a state rep, and now 9 years as a county commissioner. And in many instances, I ran without opposition. And it's not because I have this dynamic personality or wealthy donors. It's because we have an operation that is consumer and customer friendly. If you don't have an open door, and if I'll go a step further, if all we're going to do here is have a conversation about this one time and then never talk again, then we've failed. You know, this has to be an ongoing conversation. You know, if we're going to have a collaboration between the industry and your government, then it can't be a one-off. It has to be a constant relationship, a constant conversation. I think I'd be effective as a mayor if we have that. If we don't have that, then we'll just stay and we'll keep going round and round in circle. And I don't want to have that. I don't want us to be that kind of relationship. You know, I think it's important enough that small businesses in our community, and if we're going to talk specifically about you know, the restaurant and bar industry in our community, you know, this is what we sell across the world, is a lifestyle here in Miami, right? That's what we sell. And so if we're going to sell it, then we need to collaborate and understand how important the industry is to the bigger scheme of what we're doing, okay? You know, we're not selling, you know, we sell beach, lifestyle, party. It's what we do, okay? I mean, behind that veil, we have hardworking people. All our parents probably busted their humps making sure that we could do the things that we do. But this is what we sell, so we need to have that collaboration continuously in order to be successful. If not, then we failed. Okay, guys? Thank you. You got a question? Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm going to leave you with this. I know, you know, when I was in Hialeah, we used to have horror stories. And I know that many businesses, before you open up, you've probably scratched all your savings together. Possibly, you took out a second mortgage on your home, and you're all in. And I get that you're all in. And this adage of, you know, time is money is real. So the longer it takes you to open your doors to your customers and see if, even if your idea works, because that's the other thing, right? You've spent time looking for a location, you've spent time getting your place ready, and if we're going to be government, the biggest obstacle, I think that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. Now, I'm not proposing to be the Wild West, but I do propose that we need to collaborate with you. And what I have found in many, many instances, the people that do inspections for the county, they're all decent people, okay? I don't want to disparage them, but I do know this. The person that goes and does the electrical inspection usually is a frustrated electrician who would like to be running a business, okay? And then what ends up happening, he now wants to teach the electrician how to do his work. And that's where I have a problem, you know? So I think there's a lot of things we could do. There'll be a lot of self-inspections. If you have an electrician doing the work and that person's licensed, why can't that person put his license name on the line by signing a document saying that we've complied with all the electrical things needed? You're done. You don't need to have an inspection a week from now. We don't have to do all that stuff. There's ways of doing this thing. We don't have to create business for the county just for the sake of creating business, okay? Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I am a frustrated Dolphin fan, yes. I'm sorry. Tour is starting now. And this is my shameless plug of drinking water that I don't know if we just took it right out of the tap or not, but anyways, it's all good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Bovo. We have one final speaker for you guys. She is the founder and CEO of Giardino Gourmet Salads. As a former Miami-Dade County teacher for 12 years, she took a radical sabbatical from teaching to open up a healthy, fast casual concept in 2004. Along with her husband, they began to franchise and have grown to 14 units in Miami-Dade and Broward. They're strongly rooted in the community and believe that the best way to grow your business is by serving others, embracing the future and staying true to your brand. This month, they are very excited to be celebrating 16 years in business. Very impressive. With that, please give a warm welcome to Odi Lugo.
You know what the best part of getting to a restaurant is? Taking off your mask, right? Drinking and eating. I'll have wine, please, immediately. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. To all the speakers, the guests, Combo Kitchen, for sponsoring such an event. What a great opportunity to have a platform to speak and to learn from those in the industry. I definitely wish that all of our candidates and political figures would stay for the whole process, because I'm sure that within the restaurant we have heard each other, and I think that we have a lot to continue talking about. I also want to personally thank them, the community leaders, because I know that they probably had a lot on their plate. I think we were all trying to figure things out, and they had to make decisions that we probably agreed and disagreed with, but I want to assume that they did the best that they could. There's a lot to talk about, but I am basically here to share with you the Giardino experience since March of 2020. The things that worked, where we are now, and the hope for the future. So the first thing that we actually did is that we completely embraced the situation. A lot of people, I think, just panicked. But I think that we just completely embraced it. We decided to swim and not sink. We cooperated with the process and learned how to apply it and make it Giardinoized. We became students of everything, and we did all we could to not close, not even for one day. I say that because one of our franchises did close out of being completely scared, and we had to accept that. And it has to be probably our most struggling franchise right now, because it's definitely hard to get up from their feet. There is no doubt we were all taken by surprise. Everyone basically ran, and we kind of all learned to figure it out on the way. As a founder of the company, I felt a very heavy weight in trying to get as much information as I could for our employees, our franchisees to stay safe, how they could save their business with whatever loans were available. We had to learn the different city mandates, as we've all heard, and understand the employee laws, because the last thing we wanted is to probably get a lawsuit, based on the labor laws. My daily emails looked like the presidential debriefs, and I became an accountant, a lawyer, and as much as we could, plus dealing with my own family and the circumstance. We quickly stuck together with those in the industry, which some are here, that we all had the same frame of mind and created a group chat that has honestly been the best support ever. And I thank my husband for getting that ready. We were proud of the video that was aired in national news, which were the faces of our business. We worked with our vendors, with our landlords, called the utility companies, all of our accounts, and I hope all of you did that, and we made a plan of action. Life went on hold. So I remember it was Friday, March 13th. By the 17th, right, the rug was totally taken away under our feet, and you know what's due on the 19th? Sales tax. And all of a sudden, everything just went on hold. And I hope that many of you were able to do that. We applied early for the PPP, and what I love to call the fairy godmother money that came from the SBA, the EIDL, the $10,000. That definitely, on that week, was the most helpful thing that I know most of my franchisees had. We were very careful how to use it, and there was some fear in how, you had to spend it with X percentage of payroll, right? Remember all of that? And we knew that that was going to change, because it was unrealistic. How can you be spending all this money on payroll if you didn't have sales? So maybe from having 13 employees, you only had 3. So what were you going to do with that? So we took the time in letting them figure out the rules, and we just kind of held that money. We also took the time, and we realized that getting rooted in the community was more important than our sales. We had a lot of customers and pharmaceutical reps, because we do caterings, that wanted to gift our healthcare heroes, and they didn't know how to. So we created a GoFundMe page and created a protocol for the industry on providing lunches in the hygienic way. Hospitals were not receiving just any type of food. They had to be prepackaged. And at the end of the day, we knew that by getting involved in something like that, we would have just pure loyal customers. So besides embracing it, we're in it. We were not fighting the current, right? We had to adapt. We adapted immediately to everything. And I appreciate what Bobo mentioned, and the fact of having a task force that could explain what we were doing. We have been in food safety, employee safety, in all types of safety before we opened our doors. We all had to pass that famous inspection. So the funny thing is that I continue, because I kind of work a lot in my teacher background, common sense. Out of the 14 units that we had, no one of the city officials knocked on our door to say, what's your opinion? And I think that is crucial. And I think that we need to continue voicing that, because we are the ones that could give them a run for their money. We know the protocol. We know, right? In 16 years, I haven't ever gotten anyone sick. So obviously we know how to do something right. So we also realize that life will never be like February of 2020. I truly believe that nothing will ever be the same. The world behavior has changed, and we need to accept that. I do believe at times this was a little bit of a blessing in disguise. We probably had some units that needed a little upkeeping, a little, push, and this kind of forced them to do the things that they needed to do, and implement the changes that they had to do. As a fast casual, we already had the sneeze guards. We also used the gloves. We had already sanitizing stations for our customers in the entrances. So we were pretty much ahead of the game. Now I look back and I look at our famous mask and I say, I cannot imagine my front of the house not wearing a mask over our food. Again, it's a fast casual. So again, these behaviors, we just need to completely adapt to them. I use the example a lot, if we all remember smoking in a plane, and we're like, people smoked in a plane? Like, how could that even happen? But it did. And I think it's kind of the same thing, like how we will probably never be inside an elevator full of people, It might be more than 3, but not full of people. So I think the faster we embrace and adapt to those behaviors and understand that nothing is going to change, I think it will be better. We immediately ordered the rest of the PPE, which I laugh because I'm sure that the moment you heard social distancing stickers, I am sure that all of the restaurant owners were already contacting their graphic designers, right, and printing them before the government ever told us what to do, right? It also gave us a great opportunity to revisit our systems and processes, making sure that we were efficient in all the steps, especially with employees that were working now that were not management. We cleaned our inventory. We removed menu items that were just lingering that we really didn't need. We created flex menus with our family shares and the prepackaged caterings. However, we did not go to the route of having a supermarket. I'm sure as for us, we're a healthy fast casuals, so selling produce would have been the best thing. But we realized that it would take too much energy and to create systems and to redirect our customers. We decided to stay very true to who we were. I know a lot of restaurants in a little bit of a desperation started to bring in more inventory on the opposite. We were trying to clean it, and we were just a salad, wrap, bowl concept. People were looking for something they knew and trusted, and we wanted to deliver that great product that we always had. Very important thing, and I know you talked about this earlier today, we, unlike some restaurants, we decided not to push the sales drivers of our business. There was a tsunami that happened a few years ago. I remember, again, we've opened 16 years this month. When I was coming up with the menu and everything of Giardino's, I still had Google dial-up. It was that back. And the technology has changed. But then in the past few years, that tsunami of third party, it just came at us. And we were all so unprepared. We didn't even know what company to use. And for us as a franchise, it was very crucial because those sales of all those third parties were not being reported into the systems, and that's how we based our royalty income from. And that was huge. So now we had a break in between the franchisee being honest with us, right, and inputting them, or not, and doing audits. So that tsunami is still there. We probably still have to go back and do those audits. However, when COVID hit, they were our marketplace. They were our stream of business. So instead, we learned to work with the third parties, not remove the stickers from our windows, and learn to play the game with the fees. the millennials are absolutely, I don't know where they get their money from, but yeah. You know, I have a 13-year-old and she orders Postmate like it's like if just walking into the, and I'm like, and who do you, like, you know there's a credit card backing that up, right? But we realized we needed to play the game, and we did, because they were our marketing. The way we saw it, it was our marketing dollars. And we put up the prices, and those millennials are willing to pay that price. It really didn't matter. Our online ordering program had also come out, so we had those prices as the same as if they would have walked in, but all the third parties had a 30% markup, or whatever the markup was. If it was 22, we were lucky to get 22, maybe 27. Whatever the markup was, we were putting it on the customer. And that is something that we had done actually a few months before COVID hit, and it definitely, and it was a model. I urge you to not push them away. If this is something you guys want, you need to go with the flow of what is happening. We also pumped up our social media and used it as obviously our main communication. So if I had to say the two main things, I think I did this wrong. The two main things that saved our business during this time definitely was technology. Technology. I heard a study that the phenomenon we are experiencing in technology was to occur in 2024. But COVID accelerated the digital transformation. If you do not have online ordering, QR codes, mobile Apple loyalty programs, PIN pads, Apple Pay, or even a very strong social media working for you in your restaurant, you need to take the time to learn it. You need to take the time to implement it. I am telling you, you will stay behind. It is not a hurricane, it is a tsunami. It is happening faster than we could think, and for us, that are a little older and wiser, it's hard for us, unlike my 13-year-old, to adapt to those changes, but our restaurant needs it. We went from 120 phone orders a day to the phone not ringing at all in our restaurant. It was, COVID made us to redirect our customers completely. Our oldest customer, I would see him walk down because they did want to take a walk, right? One of our locations is in Coral Gables, and they want to get out of the office and walk, and that little old man learned how to put his order through online. He would come into the shelf that said, pick up, Uber, Postmate, whichever one. He would pull his thing and he would walk away without even saying hello. For us in the restaurant industry that love to serve and love to be with our customers, it's a little heartbreaking because we feel we detach a little bit from our customer service. But again, it's about adaptation, and it is the truth. To me, it's been my hardest part. It is what it is. We have to kind of just completely change and realize that that overwhelming feeling of customer service is not what we think of it anymore. What I have learned is that customers they relate good customer service nowadays as being efficient. If you are efficient to them, that is their way of being appreciative, and you did a great job. We were already, thank you. Thank you. We were already known for takeout and delivery, and we had packaging in place, which I feel that that's another big thing as I talk to different restaurant owners have struggled a lot with. It's learning how to package food to go. They know how to serve it in a table, but they don't know how to, especially for better fine dining. Like, how do you do a risotto with ossobuco, right? And how do you send it to go? But again, taking the time to redirect that. The second thing that saved us, in our case, is that our food basically became essential. And our customers were spending more time at home as a family. They needed healthy meals for dinner. They needed lunches for their children that are in virtual school. And they knew and trusted our food. Our food was more of a need and not a want. So I know there's a lot of foodie restaurants, but try to find something within your menu that makes them want to need you, not want you, right? Because we've lost. Before dining, going to eat the big fat burger that was delicious, it was almost a dining experience. You wanted to go outside and you wanted to be in that restaurant and feel the whole foodiness and have the Insta picture. So try to make yourself to be essential. Another very important thing we did is surveys. We did surveys to get a pulse of what our customers were thinking as the reopening phases began. As we opened dining rooms, we made sure to also be tactful in the hygiene. Be careful and not being over the top to make people feel uncomfortable. I keep telling, we had our hand sanitizers, and although we're fast casual, in a restaurant, you want to come in to still feel that experience, not having the spray bottle right there, and I need to take your temperature. My daughter tells me, Mom, you can't be too cringy, and it's true. I think we were all scared, and if somebody might be looking. So be careful and being a little tactful. So for right now, the future, we will continue to evolve as we have been doing and continue doing things that work. For us as a franchise, it has made us realize the possibilities that we have with the different Giardino models and its footprint. It has made us think of different real estate strategies that we might have, because I think anything is possible, from having a ghost kitchen or a combo kitchen to having a brick and mortar, definitely having outdoor seating. So everything is possible. Our model before was working always out of a business park because we were lunch first. But now lunch is a salad. A salad is for dinner also. So during this whole COVID, our residential areas have grown tremendously, and they are comp positives. So versus our business park, which were our strong sellers, they totally are still at 30% down from last year's sales. There is definitely a business opportunity here. Unfortunately, there will be those 50% of those restaurants that are not going to make it. And we have had tons of franchise inquiries, because I think that any restaurant that makes it through this time, again, becomes essential. And with a very low build-out cost for our units, it makes us very valuable and intriguing. So we will continue to have the challenges, and I wish, again, a lot of the officials, and one of the questions I was able to ask, for us, our challenge is how do we continue having engaging customer service during this whole entire digital transition? How do we communicate better with the city officials in order to make decisions that make sense to restaurant owners? Because the decisions that have been made have not been by restaurant owners. They say that they have task force that have been created, and I really don't know of the task force. At least it hasn't been shared. I don't feel that one size fits all. Again, the tables at 50%, when you have 4 tables of occupancy, doesn't make sense to, people with tables with 200, or a nightclub, or a bar. So not one size fits all, and the rules should have been very different across the board. My question here was, what happened to the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, the Division of Hotel and Restaurant? The other day I got a call that I had an inspector there, and I'm like, from where? Because we haven't seen you during this whole entire time. The last inspection, right, was in January, I guess everybody at the beginning, and then now. So why didn't we get those inspectors, the ones that come to your location or assigned to your location, be part of the whole COVID team? There is definitely a lot of confusion. We are appreciative of the possible grants that some cities are giving, but unfortunately they're very unfair. So my husband and I started this business 16 years ago, teacher firefighter, $400 in our bank account the day we opened, I'll never forget. $65 was the first order, and after that, I went probably into a blank of shock because I was super in it and super in debt. We were able to franchise 2 years in, And we built our franchise system up to 18 locations. Due to different reasons, we decided to close down 4 of them. And now we're at a very strong 14, and we'll continue to grow. Because each of our franchise owners are single unit operators, we have one that has 5 of them. We have been completely community rooted in this Miami and in Broward and in Naples, super giving back to the community. However, we did not qualify for this grant in the Miami-Dade grant because we were considered a franchise. The criteria needs to change because each of those franchisees are single owners, you know, small business owners. And that wasn't fair. So I think that now that the dust is settling, we need to all come together to make wise decisions for the recovery of the restaurant industry and the small businesses that completely create jobs for this city. I thank you again for the opportunity to talk here today, and I hope we will continue working on strategies to bring back our business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Odie. We're just going to have a really quick word from our sponsors before we have our short intermission. Let's go ahead and start it with John Romney, the VP of Sales and Development for Franchise Creator.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First off, I'd like to thank you all for being here today, Combo Kitchen team for putting this wonderful event together. Thank you so much. As a proud sponsor of this event with Franchise Creator, it's a proud moment to be here to introduce our company. We're very proud of what we've accomplished in the past decade. We've helped hundreds of small business owners achieve the American dream through franchising. And over the past decade, this is what we've accomplished here in South Florida and beyond as well. A lot of small business owners tend to think, they have this misconception, that franchising is simply beyond their reach, it's not possible, but that usually prevents them from growing. And during this time, during the pandemic, more than ever, business owners should be thinking of ways in which they can grow their business. Franchising is one of those ways. By franchising a business, business owners with their proven brand can leverage their expertise and their experience to grow their business utilizing their franchisees' efforts, time, and resources. One common misconception in franchising, which I hear all the time with business owners, is that they think they're going to lose their quality control, that they'll lose their brand, the quality will decrease. And unfortunately, that typically keeps them from franchising their business, but couldn't be further from the truth. If you look at some of the biggest businesses in the world today, they're franchised. You've probably seen the movie The Founder, right? The McDonald's story with Ray Kroc and what he's accomplished. And I think we can all agree, you can't remember a time you went to McDonald's and you ordered a meal and they tell you, sorry, we're out of fries today, right? That just doesn't happen. And it's because franchising has proven systems and protocols in place that avoid those types of things from happening. And at Franchise Creator, we have those formulas, we have those proven protocols and systems in place, and we can help you successfully franchise your business. So we do have a booth in the back. Before leaving, if you're here, you want to get some more information, please stop by. Also, for those who are live streaming, you can visit us on our website at www.franchisecreator.com for more information. Again, I want to thank you all for being here, and God bless you all, and stay safe.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a few words regarding Combo Kitchen. I know we've heard quite a bit about it throughout the course of the day, but I just wanted to kind of give a more clarified overview of what exactly it is that Combo Kitchen does. So Combo Kitchen has partnered with a number of proven brands. That's the key, is that it's proven brands that have proven the ability to sell their product. They already have a following on social media. They already have 5 stars on Yelp, 4 stars on Yelp, whatever it may be. People already know the name. People know exactly who these restaurants are. As a restaurant owner, you can partner with Combo Kitchen and place some of these existing restaurant brands into your already operating kitchen, only behind the scenes for delivery and takeout only. So what that means is you continue your normal operations that you currently do at your restaurant, and on top of that, somebody's ordering Uber Eats for, let's say, Bailey's Seafood or Ramen Lab or Taco Rico or any of these brands, and they're gonna come inside your restaurant to pick it up. There's no other indication of the fact that this is going down unless that's what you want. But in terms of Combo Kitchen's requirements, your restaurant stays exactly the same. You're just adding more sales to your existing restaurant. You keep the same rent, you keep the same payroll, and you just add more revenue to your operation. So, there are no costs to it, just sales. 2 of the brands that we have on our network were actually serving us some delicious food today. If you guys got a chance to taste it, it was Ramen Lab and Taco Rico. That was very, very good food, so I'm sure you guys can kind of see how the concept works now. If you had one of those in your area and you knew that this was available for you on Uber Eats and Postmates, there are these brand new delicious flavors that are being brought to you, so that's what's going on with Combo Kitchen. So finally, to go ahead and wrap up our event, we're actually not gonna complete the panel discussion. Instead, if Felipe Khalifa will come up and say a few words for us. He is the president of the Wynwood Restaurant Association. He began his career by opening a perfume distribution company that grew to be very successful, and today is the owner of El Patio, one of the most successful Latin bars in Miami. He's opening a brand new restaurant in the heart of Wynwood, inspired by Mexican culture, with a Mayan theme called Miami. He's a workaholic, as he puts it. Please welcome him to the stage.
Sorry guys, just by fracture that I had, so I can't go up on stage. My name is Philippe Khalifa. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm the owner of El Patio Wynwood, just recently opened Miami Mexicantina, and I'm the president of the Wynwood Restaurant and Bar Association. So just to make it quick, how we came up with the association in Wynwood, we started to have a lot of issues with noises in the area because of an old noise ordinance that was done in 1973, and we're pretty much, started to be harassed by code enforcement because there was too much noise. So we decided all together, all businesses, to come into an association to really take matters into our own hands and stop being bullied, and to try to show that we want to work with our official in the area and actually contribute to new laws that we think are more fitted for the area. So we came up with a new noise ordinance that will come up to commission in November 10th, that we're very proud of, because it's really a work between us, the BID, the residents of Wynwood, the developers of Wynwood, because new developments are going to come in the area, and I think it's going to be a great fit for the area. As far as what we've been going through with coronavirus, for our industry, the bar industry, obviously the restaurant, we've all been talking what was going on in the restaurant industry. Bar industry has been catastrophic because we've been shut down for 7 months. Very little help. And once we were able to open, after we pleaded our cases, that we were able to actually act more like a restaurant and not as a bar, because if you serve food at a table, I'm a strong believer that you can still serve a drink at a table. After, you have to educate people, telling them that they need to wear the mask, they need to do social distancing. We're very strong believers in social distancing and the guidelines that were set for coronavirus. In that case, we saw that we were able to open. Today, the challenge is not having people back in our venues because there is a strong demand. The challenge is the huge mixed signals that the official came up with, and that impacts us as business owners. because when, for instance, the governor came with the order to reopen to everybody, people understood that there was no need to wear masks anymore, no need to social distance anymore. So when they were coming in our venues, we had to explain them that yes, the orders are still enforced, you have to wear your mask, you have to social distance. And there was this big fight with clients because you need to explain them that no, you need to read the order. That's still in place. So it's extra work for us to make people understand that things didn't change. We still have to social distance, wear the mask. The second challenge as well is how do we tell to businesses that are under a curfew that they need now to buy on a constant basis gloves, sanitizer, masks for all the staff, for clients as well, because we provide it to clients as well. That became a huge budget in our venues, and so we comply with all the guidelines that have been set forth, but we're not allowed to open past the curfew. Today we've been told that we cannot put music in our venues. The music has to be very low. All this impacts our business, but on the other side, we've been told that we need to keep spending money to add, to all those guidelines that we have to respect. In the Wynwood area, we're having an issue because we've been policed a lot the past 2 weeks for the guidelines, to respect the guidelines, and so far, an average of 5 to 7 businesses have been shut down every week in Wynwood, not because they're not respecting the guidelines, but because of the music. And so we're proved now, we have a proof that we are really doing a great job as far as the guidelines are concerned. But now, police comes to us saying that the music is too loud, even if a lot of times it's not. Since there's not an actual decibel level that they say it forth, it's to anybody's consideration. So it makes it very hard. And I think we're the only industry where you come into a place, instead of saying, please lower the volume, they just shut you down right away, take all your clients out, and you're done, and you're closed for 24 hours. That doesn't send a great signal to us, business owners, because we're working hard, working to set the guidelines like everybody, but instead of trying to be rewarded for what we're doing, we're just being penalized as soon as there's a little something, instead of just saying, working with our officials to, change this or that. We're always ready to work with everybody. So today, there's a lot of not everything is great. It's difficult. It's very challenging. We are back to business. We don't want to be fully back to business because we understand the issues and we want to be part of the solution and not the problem. So we're still limiting a lot the capacity in all our venues, including in our restaurants, and a lot of business and the members of the association doing the same. And we want to continue with coming with new innovative solutions for this pandemic. I came up, for instance, with the mask with the zipper, where I created a mask that is completely sealed inside, but you just unzip and just put a little straw. Like this, people don't have to take off their mask if they don't want to when they have a drink. We have a lot of ideas like this in our industry to try to make it more COVID compliant. So today, yes, there's a lot of uncertainty in the future. I think this is going to take a long time before we go back to a normal. I'm a strong believer that the vaccine is not only the solution, the vaccine will help, but there's still going to have a lot of education that needs to be done to our clients on a constant basis. We're going to need hire more people to go in the floor, to go to just patrol around the place to make sure that people are complying with keeping their mask on, keeping social distancing. So it's going to be a money challenge, it's going to be an education challenge, but at the end, we need to learn how to live with that instead of saying, that will go away in 3 months or 6 months. Nobody knows. So just, understand that we have to live with it, but instead of every time shutting everything down, We need to, like I said, educate people in order to stay open and to be able to, again, thrive with our businesses and continue working with this virus that we have in the safest manner that we can. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay. That completes our show. Thank you guys all so much for coming out today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to make it out here and hear what our speakers have to say. Thank you to our speakers for all of the information you've provided all of us. Follow us on Instagram at Franchise Creator and at Combo Kitchen. Thank you everybody again for coming out. Have a safe drive home.